Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Clackamas County State of the County. It's so good to see all of you here tonight, and tonight really is about connection and conversation. It's about coming together as neighbors, as residents, and as one community. It's about celebrating how far we've come. It's about recognizing what we've achieved and looking ahead to an even brighter future. Now, before we dive into this, I want to take a moment, and because next week we're observing Veterans Day, and to recognize and thank all of our veterans who have served our country and those that are currently serving. So I think it's important that the sacrifices that these individuals have made, along with the sacrifices their family have made, should never be taken for granted. So if you're a veteran, would you please honor me in standing up so that we can give you a round of applause? Now, I would say that was okay. I wouldn't say it was great. I want to tell you a little story, and that is that I coach youth basketball. And when the players come off the court, the entire bench gets up. They give them a big round of applause. They give them a pat on the back, and they tell them, "Great job." And so what I'd like to do is take it to the next level. I'd like our veterans to sit down. I'd like everybody to stand up, and let's ramp that up a couple degrees. Let's give them a round of applause. Woo! Yes. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Way to go.
Now we're talking. Thank you. Well, I'd like to start by extending a warm welcome to many distinguished guests that we have here tonight. And we have a number of elected officials. And I'm going to ask you all to stand at one time. And I'd also like to recognize the wonderful board that I work with, Commissioner Martha Schrader, Paul Savas, Diana Hellman, Ben West. And so I could get you to stand up along with all our other elected officials. Would you please stand up and let's give them a round of applause.
Thank you.
It's also so important that we welcome and recognize our community volunteers. From the huge number of those that are involved in volunteer connection programs, to our community planning organizations, to hamlets, to advisory boards, commissions, and many, many of our nonprofits. And you really are the hands and hearts of Clackamas County, and I would just ask you to please stand up and let's recognize all those volunteers that make so many wonderful things happen. Stand up. I had a meeting with the planning committee members, and I'm telling you, they have been around for a while. And a big shout out to the years that you guys have dedicated to this, and my heartfelt thank you. So all of us together help make Clackamas County's vision a reality. That you are the heart of this county, and your voices, your values, and your deep commitment to one another shape the very fabric of this incredible place we all call home. So tonight marks a new kind of state of the county. This isn't just another presentation or a list of accomplishments. It's a conversation. It's a moment to pause, let's reflect, and dream together about what's next. An evening to celebrate progress, to build trust, to spark a little civic pride. And every day, your county government is working, often quietly behind the scenes, keeping our roads safe, protecting our communities, and caring for our most vulnerable neighbors. When a disaster strikes, which I was thinking it might be tonight with this storm, we keep essential services running, and we plan boldly for the future. That's the real story of Clackamas County. And because behind every project and every program and every budget line item are people. And people whose lives are made better because we stand beside them. And the spirit of perseverance and purpose is what drives our community forward. Through we have challenges, through we do change and toward a future filled with opportunity. And as another basketball coach, Phil Jackson, put it best, he said, the strength of a team is each individual member. And now the strength of each individual member is the team. So that's what tonight's all about. It's understanding that our strength as a county comes from each of you. Every county employee, every neighborhood, every resident working together toward one shared goal. Because tonight isn't just about looking back, it's about looking ahead. Aiming higher, tackling challenges with courage, and building an even stronger partnership that will move us forward together. When we stand shoulder to shoulder, leaders, employees, community members, there's truly nothing we can't accomplish together. The state of the county is a celebration of us, of what we've achieved, what we're building, and what's possible with the work ahead. Local government is something far away from an institution. It's you, it's me, it's every person who lives and works in Clackamas County. It's all of us shaping the future together. And with the spirit of optimism, which I'm optimistic, and teamwork, which I believe in teams, it's my pleasure to introduce Steve Dunn from KATU, who will be our MC for this evening. And after a short video highlighting some of the amazing accomplishments in 2025, Steve's going to help lead a conversation of our Clackamas County leaders.
Can we hear one more time for that video, please? Thank you, Chair Roberts and all the county commissioners, all you folks for being here tonight. This can be a fun night. We're going to hear lots of great information from these folks. Thank you. Your collective leadership, your vision, dedication to our community has certainly made today's event possible. We appreciate the opportunity to come together, reflect on all the achievements of all these folks in this room right now, the challenges and opportunities in a very meaningful way. Tonight is not just about reflecting on what has been accomplished, though. It's about looking ahead. I know they plan on doing that when we ask them the questions tonight, envisioning the kind of community we want to become and how we'll get there together. I live in Clackamas County as well, so I'm looking forward to hearing what they have to say. That's where strategic planning plays a big role here. It's how we turn vision into action by setting clear priorities, aligning our resources as well, and making thoughtful long-term discussions that ensure that Clackamas County continues to thrive for generations to come. You will find a copy, by the way, you've already seen it, I'm sure, of the county's new adopted strategic plan on your table. And it represents more than just priorities. It's goals on paper. It's a shared roadmap shaped by the community's voices and the values as well. It reflects the county's commitment to collaboration, accountability, and measurable progress in the areas that matter most of the people that we serve. With that in mind, I'm excited to begin tonight's moderated discussion and continue this important conversation about the future that really we're all building together. As I invite the commissioners to come up on stage, you will find cards on your table for questions, and I'd like to, if you want to ask these guys some questions, this is your opportunity to do it. We got a Q&A session coming up shortly. Write your questions on the cards. The staff will come around in just about 10 minutes to collect them. And as we bring them in, the order of questions will be, you guys ready for this? All right, Commissioner Savas. Commissioner Savas is here. Commissioner Helm is here. Commissioner Schrader, Commissioner Roberts, and Commissioner West. So please invite them. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it. We've got some questions for all of you. We're going to try and keep this segment to just about 30 minutes. So I know we have a little clock somewhere. There it is, right over here. We'll be watching this closely. And we get that done, and you'll hear from some of the folks in the audience who have some questions as well. And Commissioner Savas, we're going to begin with you. You ready for this?
Sure.
Okay, let's get into it. How will the county make sure investments in infrastructure and livability, such as housing, water, transportation, and transit, reach all parts of the county, including those areas that haven't always received enough attention or resources?
That's a great question. That's an ongoing challenge, especially for my friends out here in the rural areas of Clackamas County, and especially sometimes the unincorporated areas, which are also in the urban area. The cities have a lot more infrastructure when it comes to staffing. They can apply for grants, they can make things happen, where the unincorporated area and a lot of the rural does not have that same level of capacity. 25 years ago, some of you were part of the Complete Communities, and concurrent with that was a concurrency thing that the county commissioners did on infrastructure coordination, which was the Clackamas County Coordinating Committee. And that goal was to get all the infrastructure, getting to the question, all the infrastructure in place to make sure we could grow. And the Sunrise Corridor was one of those places we wanted to grow. And the C4 started in the year 2002. We kicked it off, and we've been working ever since. But about 10 years ago, what really changed was the homeless crisis became really a big issue. And suddenly our agenda at Clackamas County changed into housing. How do we deal with homeless services? So we had a lot of discussions, a lot of compassion, how we meet this goal. The governor has instituted housing goals. And so now we're trying to keep the infrastructure up. There's no money for the infrastructure, but there's money available for housing. Now we have money available for supportive services. So we are scrambling to get all that together. And we're actually not really doing a good job, considering it. And we got a slow start because the money is limited. But whether it's wastewater in the urban area, we're doing a great job. Out in the rural areas, that's challenging because it's either septic or it's, cities like Malala, even Sandy are struggling trying to meet that. But the state did not really appropriate enough money for some of that critical infrastructure like water, transportation. On the transportation basis, maintenance-wise, we're doing a good job spreading all around the county, getting back to the question. On housing, we're trying to do a good job getting the housing out around the county. But most every city is bisected by a state facility, whether there's a state highway or interstate, and the state has to step up, and that's where the region of the state's kind of fallen down. We're not getting the money out there to deal with the capacities we're growing our economy. So I have a lot of notes here. How much time do I have?
Well, let's see. We're at about 27 minutes to go. So you won't get all of that. Does anybody else want to weigh in on this, by the way? Feel free to do that. Just because I gave the question to him, you can weigh in on that if you want. But you've got a couple more minutes if you want to take it.
Okay. So as I kind of mentioned, we're doing a great job on the water, environmental services, surface water. However, our water providers, some of them are in this room tonight, are also dealing with providing water. The Sunrise area is a challenge. I know Commissioner Helm has been involved in that in the past. And we know that that's a big area. The Sunrise Corridor was a big project. Again, a lot of opportunity for jobs, housing, safety issues, challenges, a huge opportunity really to meet a lot of the needs around the county. And we need all those resources. We were also dealing with the state mandate to, essentially help housing and high density development, and that came with build up, not out. The problem with that is that the promise was that transit would be coming with that. And we have done some of that. I know our friends at Happy Valley built a high-density development. The transit did not come. And as you've been reading the papers, TriMet's having more struggles. So we don't see really a place and a time where we can actually meet the transit needs. So we got to rethink this when we build housing, high-density apartments, and we don't provide the parking, because the parking relied on transit. And that's something we've got to talk the state with. We've got to talk TriMet with. So we're doing a good job. We have a lot of challenges. I want to end on a high note. We got some money to start next phase of our planning phase of the Sunrise Corridor. We got $12.5 million from Metro. Our partnership with Metro on transportation and housing has been really great. And we're doing a great job delivering on the housing side. So we exceeded our goals on housing. So again, with help from the Metro Housing Bond, a lot of good things are happening, but the challenges are out there.
I just want to all correct, and thank you, Commissioner's office. I want to say though, Clackamas County also in this space was the spearhead to stop a tolling effort that would have devastated our county. Senator Meeks, thank you for your effort in the legislature to help stop that in Clackamas County. We appreciate it. At least I do. I'll speak for myself, but I think the majority of the people in this room also appreciate your efforts. That was a county-led initiative working with our Clackamas County caucus to stop an effort that would have absolutely taxed our infrastructure in a way that was unsafe and untenable. And so your local government was a part of that fight to make sure that did not come to our county. And right now, through a joint effort with legislators like Senator Meeks, that's not happening. And so your neighborhoods will be a little less congested. There'll be less diversion. And we're still needing efforts. Mayor Rory, too, you are awesome in that fight in the local government. We're C4, thank you. I could point out a lot of people, but I just want to say, in my opinion, initially, that was a local effort that spearheaded that. And then we worked with our caucus members in the legislature to make sure we were representing the needs of Clackamas County.
Thank you very much. I want to move on to Commissioner Diana Helm now. You talked about the Sunrise Corridor project. That has been discussed for years now, as you all know. How will the next phase of this project improve traffic flow, safety, connections between all the communities? And how will you ensure that local voices are included in those planning discussions?
Thank you, Steve. First of all, I just want to say I'm really thrilled to be here this evening. As a longtime resident of Damascus and a small business owner for 18 years, I've always cared about my community and the problems that we face. Things like housing, economic growth, and transportation have always been at the top of my list. That's what led me to run for mayor of Damascus. And even though I kind of helped in the city, it did kind of strengthen my determination to kind of do what's right for the residents of our community. And it's also what brought me here today as a county commissioner. And I want to thank my colleagues for nominating me and choosing me. And I want to say we work exceptionally well together, and I'm honored to be here, and you're fun to work with, and it's a hard job. Boy, oh boy. All right, now about the Sunrise Corridor. This is one of the most important projects in Clackamas County. It's not just a road. It's a connection between people, jobs, homes, and recreation. It's a chance to plan growth the right way, supporting housing, improving safety, boosting our economy, and protecting the environment all at the same time. Highway 212 is one of the busiest freight routes in the state. It's also a key seismic lifeline and an essential east-west connection for the entire region. I had the privilege of being part of the Sunrise Corridor Community Vision Project, and I know some of my cohorts are here this evening. Hi. Which wrapped up earlier this year. That project was all about listening, really, really listening to the community and working together to shape a shared vision for the future. The new plan that came out of that process is exciting. It will make the corridor safer, more efficient, and more predictable, cutting congestion and saving drivers over 3,000 hours of travel time every single day. Think about it. Not sitting on Highway 212 in the parking lot that starts at, is it like 1 o'clock in the afternoon every day now? Wow, it's fascinating to watch how much this area has grown and how little we have improved our roads. So here's how we're going to do it. We're going to add a new east-west connection with 2 lanes in each direction. That means people who just need to pass through can do it without stopping and clogging up the roads. Meanwhile, Highway 212 will continue to serve local traffic, but with fewer intersections, smoother flow, and less backup. We'll also see new roads that make it easier and safer to get around by car, on foot, or by bike. Another big improvement is the project will be built in phases. And this was a great idea because the last time this went before the people, it failed big time because it was one huge project that could not be done all at once. It was just too costly. And this is going to be continuing from that first phase, which was the bypass that was opened in 2010. Each phase will bring real, visible improvements to safety, mobility, and access to public transit. And through every step, we'll keep the community at the center of it all. Residents, small and large businesses, and people who haven't always had a voice in these conversations, everyone's input matters and will continue to shape what comes next. To keep that collaboration going, we've launched the Sunrise Corridor Coalition, which brings together community members, local leaders, and businesses to help turn this vision into a reality. So if you care about the future of the corridor, which I am hoping most all of you do, please visit our website, get involved, and help us build a safer, more connected future for Clackamas County. Thank you.
Commissioner Schrader, you'll have the next question. We'll come back to you, Craig, I promise you.
Okay.
What kind of businesses or industries is the county most interested in attracting or expanding, and how will those efforts create good jobs and opportunities for the residents?
Well, first let me start with just a comment about an anniversary I would like everybody to know about tonight. When I was first a commissioner here back in 2003, I was going around to all the businesses to find out, what do you need to succeed? What barriers do you have? And they would look at me and they go, who are you and why are you here? And I would say, well, I'm the government, I'm here to help, okay? And you can imagine there were a number of raised eyebrows. But one of the things that happened over me being going around the entire county, and let's be honest, I'm trained as a field biologist, okay? I knew nothing about economic development. I knew nothing about what it meant to grow a business. It wasn't in my lexicon at that point. But I thought, if we're going to grow jobs in this county, I better really get to this knowledge and learn how to understand what that means for prosperity for our people. So I went to a number of the businesses, and Barry Hendricks, who used to be one of the CEOs of OECO, and OECO is still here in our county, traded sector, he was actually somewhat impressed with me. And I said, really? He goes, yeah, nobody's ever come to us to ask about what we need before. So from there, we started a coalition of businesses that were really becoming our champions with Shelley Perini. Many of you know Shelley Perini. She was also a champion of this. And together they formed a manufacturing group. Manufacturing is key to what we do here in our county. It's one of our major sectors. And they called themselves the Pacific Northwest Defense Coalition because all these manufacturers in the county found out that they were all doing and working on things that basically had to do with our defense industry. And we had a very, very robust relationship with our National Guard as well. So we combined the two. But out of that coalition grew the Pacific Northwest Defense Coalition, and tomorrow night I'll be going to their dinner, and I think they're going to give me the VIP treatment. It'd be nice, I guess, because it is the 20th anniversary of the Pacific Northwest Defense Coalition. They are the largest manufacturing coalition here in Oregon that was incubated in Clackamas County, and they've expanded to California and as well as Washington. So let's give a hand to the PNDC. We did that. So now that I digress, Steve, let me get back on topic.
You want me to repeat the question?
Just give me a little more time here.
It's all right. You go ahead.
I can talk as long as Ben, yeah. Well, I need a pillow for my recliner because I'm short, so I don't know what to say. But what was the key there? It was business expansion. Okay. Well, actually finding out who's here, helping them expand, and then recruiting new businesses. So basically, from that start, that's what we have continued to do for the last 20 years here. And we are the first county that also discovered that we had a huge healthcare sector, where there was a big economic driver in our whole county. And we have never stopped. And I want to say our team is here tonight. Laura, where are you and your team? Our economic development team, they are continuing to do that work today. We need the land to do it. We're doing a lands inventory at this point to make sure that we can have land for businesses to have a site grow. We're making sure we have the appropriate infrastructure, Sunrise Corridor. We're making sure that we have the jobs available for people and that we are doing workforce. I see some of my friends from workforce out in the audience tonight too. That we are actually training people to have those good jobs. So that's kind of the magic sauce that we use to expand businesses and what we continue to do. But there's one more thing I want to talk about. Economic development basically has to do with infrastructure, commerce, getting the businesses here, helping them grow. But there is another part of this that I've been working on at the national level, and that is economic mobility. And what's the difference between economic development and economic mobility? Well, we as counties have the opportunity to help people move up from poverty to prosperity. So it's combining economic development with the mobility so people can have those jobs and thrive. And the best example I can give now that we also helped in Clackamas County was the ARPA dollars that we gave to the Canby Center. And they are a nonprofit that gets it right. They not only work with food security, they not only work with housing, they also do financial literacy and help people buy homes. And it was those dollars really that helped us succeed, those ARPA dollars, and they continue to do that work today. So when we talk about economic development, don't forget, economic mobility is a key piece of that because our job as counties is to move people from poverty, intergenerational poverty, up to prosperity. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair Roberts, it's your turn. People often say they want to be heard by their local government. How is the county engaging with the residents, especially those who don't normally participate in public meetings or surveys?
Boy, that's a great question. And I think it is a challenge today, communicating with the public, and particularly by the size and geographic size of our county. And each and every city has diverse needs, and wanting to make sure that each area of our county is heard. And I think it's creating a multitude of platforms to really touch each of those populations. Youth, they're going to be looking at more social media. Our seniors a lot of times want something in writing. And then I also think it's really important that that we go to the people, and that is town halls. We've had discussions about coming to city council meetings and being available and answer questions and help give information that I think is really important. And I could just tell you, just being in this role, I've been on this speed reading course to really get up to speed on so many critical issues that I think all of you should be aware, just as I'm getting up to speed on it. Our fastest homeless population are seniors with a lot of health issues. And really how we need to step up right now. Obviously, SNAP funds are critical, and how each and every person can help and how you can spread that message within your own community. So in order to kind of translate this message about where we're at, it really started in completing a strategic plan, to bringing us together, to uniting on what we think the priorities are. And once we had that plan, where we had a lot of robust conversations, I'll just tell you that. And we had a great facilitator that helped us come up with these clear goals, objectives, and timelines to accomplish the goals at hand. Within that is a strategic communication plan, because we really have to communicate what we're doing. And some of the housing issues, Ben has been instrumental in support of housing dollars, and really helping trying to carry that message about here's how those dollars are being used, because we are doing a good job in Clackamas County when it comes to supportive housing dollars. So I think it's a multitude. I think it's working with our city partners and community groups and making sure that each of us has the ability to come to your community. And the discussion has been divide and conquer, not having maybe all of us, maybe two of us come. And we go to areas which has different challenges. I'll just tell you, up in the Welch's area, short-term rentals is an issue up there, and how we're really helping work and meet some of those needs in those communities. So there isn't one single answer other than we bring Steve Dunn onto our team, and he's got a little experience on communication, and I think he could give us some pointers. But that's really kind of my thoughts on how we do a better job communicating, is really being out there. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair Roberts. Appreciate that. Commissioner West, you have 10 minutes.
That's a dangerous number.
Choose to fill it. Let me tell you that.
I can fill it.
All right. That's what I hear.
I want to start my.
Can I ask you a question?
Please, I'm ready to go.
Yeah. They told me he might do that. How will the county ensure that everyone who needs help, no matter where they live in Clackamas County, has access to the full recovery continuum of services?
Thank you for that question. I want to start by saying I am so honored to serve with these men and women on the stage. This is the most competent, congeal, hardest working board I have ever been a part of. And I love the exchange of ideas. I love the disagreement without being disagreeable. We are not polarized. We work hard together. We're visionary. We want the best for our neighbors. We're about Clackamas County. And I can spend all 10 minutes saying something awesome about all of my colleagues on this stage. It's not about party. We truly look in a nonpartisan way how to just get it done in Clackamas County. I like to tell people, if my kid was asking, Dad, what do you do for a living? I'm supposed to fill potholes. And you hear that all the time from local government. Mayor Sean O'Neill, you know this in Wilsonville. Our job's it is to fill potholes, but potholes are an analogy for larger problems. They could be big potholes, they could be little potholes, but our job is to solve them so that our neighbors' lives are better. It's about all of you in our community, and these people are about you, and I love serving with them. Thank you. And I swear I'll get to the question. I just want you guys to know that Martha Schrader right now is running for to be president of the National Association of Counties. She has been serving this county for decades, from Canby to Welch's, all over the place. You know her well. And right now, in my personal opinion, I think that she has a great shot of representing us on the national level because of her hard work and experience. So I hope that you guys keep eyes on what's happening in Clackamas County, because we're not just in Clackamas, we're impacting policy and decisions across the country in all the counties from coast to coast. So keep an eye on that. I think people should know that. Okay, so thank you. So I'm incredibly passionate about this. This is why I ran to be a county commissioner, because I was a nurse caring for this population, and I really got tired feeling like we weren't offering solutions and the problem was getting worse. I was up all night at the bedside. I kept seeing the same people come into the emergency room. I kept feeling helpless, like probably many of you at times have felt, about how can I actually get ahead of this human crisis that we're all facing. And Clackamas County has done it differently than the rest of the state. We have taken a different direction. We moved specifically into a recovery-oriented system of care and worked hard to build out an entire care continuum where somebody, for the amount of time that they need, get warm handoffs throughout a system that allows them to fully heal and recover. See, in Oregon, our culture has been, it's been easy to get high, but hard to get treatment. And in Clackamas, we wanted to do it differently. We wanted to make sure that people weren't falling through the gaps, that we were being responsive to their needs, from street-level homelessness to self-sufficiency at the end of that. We did a recovery summit, And out of that recovery summit, we brought in national and international thought leaders, mostly outside of Oregon, because I'll be honest with you, I don't think Oregon has the best track record yet on this issue. We're working towards it, but we wanted new ideas. We brought in these thought leaders in our recovery summit, and we started to really dream. How can we be different in Clackamas in this metro area? Out of that has come out of the many ribbon cuttings that many of you have been at, where we're building recovery infrastructure to make sure people get that care and the treatment that they deserve. And then out of that came the Recovery Campus. And we're now talking, you might have watched our public meetings this last week, we're talking about how we're going to get that funding done. We're having to get really, really creative. To be honest, we haven't had the help from the state that we've needed. We've had to kind of figure out how to be a little bit more responsible with every single dollar, how to be a little bit more creative, how to figure out how to handle this at the local level, and how to lead in a way that we have often seen other people fail. And in that, we have this campus. We're pretty sure now, I think I can report this, that we're figuring out how to fund the first building on this 7-acre campus. But these 2 buildings will provide detox, long-term treatment, recovery housing, workforce housing, educational support, pet support if they come with their dog or their furry loved one. But we're looking to build out this overall safety net that makes sure that no one falls through the cracks in our county, that we are all called to care for every one of them. And we're being innovative. Right now, we're also talking about how to dust off old timber policies to fund counties at the local level so that we can be autonomous and self-sufficient to deliver essential services. I'm looking at the time. Oregon has, in its 18 counties, something called O&C lands. These O&C lands by statute from, the 1800s and then from 1937 by statute, the timber produced on those lands, half of those revenues go into our general fund, the other half goes into the United States Treasury. These are federal lands. 90% of the most productive timber on federal lands comes on of the 18 western counties in Oregon. Billions of board feet come out of this land. And for a number of reasons, we haven't been able to sustainably and responsibly figure out a way to have policy that allows us to take those natural resources in a way that allows us to fund the essentials of local government. I believe that it is policies and creative solutions like that that allow us to tackle persistent problems that seem to be intractable. We need the local government closest to the people to be able to use those resources to meet the needs that we face every single day. And I think that's just one creative funding way that we're trying to work as a county and lead when we're not getting necessarily the resources we need from the state, when we're only hearing about budget cuts and many just throw their hands in the air. This board refused to be the county or the local government that throws their hands in the air and says, shucks, we just can't figure it out. Because counties are service delivery entities and there's no one else after us. We either make it work for our neighbors or none of us succeed. And so that's been our mentality. How do we creatively solve issues around homelessness, housing, substance use disorder? How do we go back at old policies and look at them in a new way and try to breathe some life in them to bring resources back to us? How do we build recovery infrastructure that doesn't exist in this state and the kind that nobody else is talking about, but where we've seen it work in other places? How are we innovative, creative, and leading in a different way? This is how your county is leading, and it's noticed in the region, and we're now in different rooms having conversations about replicatable policies because of the type of leadership we're having come out of this board and the direction that we're giving. And I'll leave it at that.
We have two and a half minutes left. If somebody wants to take...
Gary tells me that you always have to leave a little bit of time left on the clock. That's the right thing to do, right, Gary? Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Thank you, Gary. Well, thank you for the panelists. Let's hear it. That's not easy to answer those questions. Engaging and inspiring discussion. Now we want to hear from you. This is your opportunity to ask the questions, share your thoughts, and be part of this conversation. Your participation is really what keeps the work meaningful, relevant, and authentic. You guys ready for this now? From the audience, those were the easy ones. Here we go. We're going to begin with Commissioner Schrader. This question is for you. What strategies can the county implement to increase access to affordable and quality child care for working families?
Whoa, that is part of our economic mobility agenda, and we've been working on that. And first of all, we're going to be going back to the legislature. Senator Meek, you'll see us there. And any bill that comes forward that will help us get capacity, and that is either the buildings on the ground sooner and easier, anything we can do to get the training for the people who work in childcare, and anything we can do to economically make it feasible so people that do work in childcare have a good living from doing that. So it's so critically important to us. One of the things I've personally done, I've been visiting childcare facilities across the county. I've talked to KinderCare. Again, we're looking for land availability to see if we can actually build childcare facilities. The other thing that we need to think about is some of the regulatory structures. You have to have regulated childcare facilities, okay? Because the first thing is safety, cleanliness, so on and so forth. But are there some ways that we can tweak some of that a bit to make it easier for these facilities to open so we have the capacity? At this point in time, we are a child care desert. We really are down over 11,000 seats for children to actually get child care. Without that child care, you see what happens, the domino effect. Parents can't get to work, or they can't work. They can only, if they don't have decent child care, the businesses don't get what they need, which is good employees who will be on time and be there. And that whole ecosystem is going to have to depend on what I call the 3 Ps, public, private, and nonprofit partnerships too. The private sector has stepped up to the plate. For example, Siemens in Wilsonville has on-site childcare. That's one of our biggest traded sector businesses, okay? And they decided that childcare was so important to them as a traded sector that they were going to have that on their campus. And that's the kind of thing I'd like to see replicated. But the business community has to be our partner in this, because we have to let them know, and I think they already do know, it will help their economic bottom line, and it will help parents get to work. And that's the name of the game.
Thank you, Commissioner. Chair Roberts, this one's right up your alley, if I remember correctly. How does Clackamas County plan to replace or upgrade the county jail, and when will the project get started?
Well, the first thing we're going to post on eBay, the steel trays that they have at the jail came out of World War II battleships. So I think they're worth some money, and I think if we put them on eBay, we can start to raise some money that way. No, but with all seriousness, that jail is very antiquated, and it's kind of like putting money in an old house that you keep putting money into it. They've had to dig the floors up to put new pipes in. It just is not a good investment. It's not safe for staff or the people that are in custody there. So, and just to boil it down to help you understand the difference is old hospitals were linear. And that's how they used to, you'd go into the hospital, there'd be a big long hallway, and down each doorway was a hospital bed, right? And the new style of hospitals are podular. It's the same philosophy with a jail, is you have somebody in the center, they can see all the patients, same thing, you can see all the people in custody, and you have a conversation, and you have a lot better safety environment. And so there's a number of reasons why we need it so bad, but it also comes down to what I've talked about earlier, communication, educating people why we need it, and the importance of it. The other importance I'll just tell you, too, is just that people that struggle with mental illness that often end up in our jail, you have to put them in a population with other people. And believe it or not, people that struggle with mental illness deal better with other people that have mental illness. So a lot of times we would actually try and put them together because they tolerate each other better rather than putting them in general population. And so, again, by having a new facility that helps us address those populations. So how do you get there? And I really believe it it starts with forming a blue ribbon committee of citizens, leaders, community leaders, to really bring them inside, to look at the facility, to look at our finances, to look at what are the options and recommendations to kind of move forward on this. I'm a big believer in trying to phase things because everything costs so much. And sometimes you just have to start. And that's what, Ben, we're trying to start that recovery campus. You know, it might not be exactly what we want, but it's a start, and we can start serving the community, and the same philosophy. So I do believe, number one, it starts with really a campaign to educate the community of why it's important. A lot of people say, hey, throw away the key, I don't care. Well, let me tell you what, it's somebody's son, somebody's daughter has made some bad choices and they end up there. And they deserve the right to have a facility that is appropriate, modern, and safe. So I just think it's time that we bring that back to the table. As sheriff, I brought that forward a couple times, and I think now, since I'm in a different position, I might have a little more influence with my colleagues here. So you were there. Martha did vote for it years ago, you know, so thank you both. You know, our little Italian lady on the board. So anyway, that's really what I believe we need to do to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Roberts. Appreciate that. Commissioner Savas, this question is for you. How can Clackamas County ensure its transit plan aligns with economic goals while delivering equitable, efficient, future-ready services to all residents?
Well, I've been digging in for the last year on transit. I've been watching, what a county commissioner or any elected official would probably do as far as inquiring. I sat on my first transit committee 25 years ago. Understand it, but boy, the last year I've had a hell of an education. And I realized that there's some structural flaws in the way transit is structured, the way it's delivered. And when HB 2017 passed, the transportation bill, they introduced a new transit tax paid by employees directly, and they called that STIF, which is calls her stiff, and how that was distributed. So I've been speaking. I was in Salem on Monday talking to the Oregon Transportation Commission about this. I was in Salem on Tuesday talking to a number of transportation leaders, including some members of the OTC, again on transit, and then yesterday also held their transit meeting. So I've been really taking a deep dive in transit. The paradigm, there needs to be a paradigm shift in how it's delivered. And I think that cost and how things have been managed in around the state, there's like 4 agencies in the state that are in financial straits, but there's a lot of providers out there that are doing a really good job. They're really being really efficient, and those are models to look at. Wilsonville is doing a great job delivering transit. We need to emulate what's working, and if that means a change, however that's handled, it means a change. But we've got to do it because, frankly, you already heard is true. The largest cohort falling into homelessness right now are senior citizens, and some of those senior citizens can't drive. They need to be able to go to the doctor. They need to be able to go to the library. They need to go where they need to go. So transit, and you talk about City of Canby, Sandy, some of the small providers are doing a great job. They love their transit system out there, and granted, a small percentage of population use them, but we are paying for something more than we ever paid. And I told, as I testified before the Joint Committee on Transportation, if you're going to take the money and continue to take the money, please provide and meet the mission and meet the intent of the legislation. That was deliver services, first, last mile, to people that don't have transit today. It was really to expand the coverage in the areas, and Clackamas County's got a lot of areas that are not covered, both inside TriMet's district and outside. Over 200,000 people are not being served by the definition of transit. In Washington County, we just met with our partners in Washington County here a few weeks ago. Their number is slightly higher than ours. So now we're talking between Multnomah County, Clackamas, or Washington County, over 500,000 people are paying for transit, just not receiving it. So we need to change, and we need to deliver that service, and we need to look at the practical models that make it work.
Commissioner Savas, thank you for that. Commissioner Helm?
Hey, may I make a comment?
Sure, absolutely. Jump in there.
Commissioner Salas. So one of the things too is this stiff tax that is charged to employees is based on where they live and not work. So I think that there's ways to fix this so that it serves the people and where the money should go. And the more I learned about this, and boy, I learned way too much kind of every day about the transit part of it. There's opportunities to kind of fix what's broken there, I hope.
Good. How do you think the county has done supporting small businesses? And what kind of future programs does the county plan on providing to help support the county's small businesses?
I think the county's done a great job supporting small businesses, especially with our new, the Economic Development Department that's relatively new. I think there's a lot of opportunity to help existing businesses, and I think there's a lot of opportunity to bring businesses into the county. We all know people are leaving Portland due to the high taxes, due to the livability, a number of reasons. And I want to roll out the red carpet for those people and bring them into Clackamas County. We're having an issue with the land availability. Within the UGB, we have nothing greater than 5 acres for a business to come into the county. And the great thing about our county, too, is that we are very diverse. We're not like a Hillsborough where they're very high-tech centered, and when those people get big layoffs, it affects them in a huge way. We have a lot of different types of businesses here, from manufacturing all the way down to coffee shops. And I want to help support those businesses. I want to help them grow. I want to help them expand. We're doing a good job by working with both the DTD department, the DTD people and workforce to try to figure out how we can get more jobs. And that is all tied together, the child care, the jobs, the transportation, it all is married. And we have to recognize that and realize that it all helps everyone who's coming into the county or lives here now.
Anybody else want to weigh in? Yes, go ahead, Chair.
Yeah, just one thing I wanted to add to that, and Dan's out there. I'm going to give him a big thanks for this. And this is really on our economic development and going out and meeting with businesses. I am just telling you, I have learned so much just taking time out, go to visit the businesses, and then together we're working on promoting those businesses. They pay a lot of taxes, and we should figure out ways to step up and support them. And the county did a wonderful video on a company that does van conversions. And we gave them a grant. If they went out and bought a new welder, they could hire staff and not shift the work out. And what I believe, it's those little things like that that really make a difference. A number of us just did a big tour with Airstream in Clackamas. Let me tell you what, they provide a lot of jobs. It's a huge benefit to this county. When you pull in there, people across the United States bring their Airstream motorhomes to Clackamas County to have them remodeled and redone and upgraded because they don't want to let them go. They continue. And one of the fascinating things that I learned just when we visited them is Airstream's company actually started in Baker City, Oregon in 1929. And it was they constructed a tent on top of a Model T. I was just blown away. I was going, oh my gosh, these guys have been around that long. So every time we really go meet the businesses, we hear what their challenges are. We hear some of the things that we can work, with tourism and other things to help. But it all starts again with conversations, communicating with our businesses in our county. So I just wanted to.
Yeah.
Commissioner Schrader.
You got the hot button one tonight. Everybody wants to talk about this. Well, one of the things I'd like to point out to us that we have some really growing hubs out in our rural areas. Estacada is booming. If you haven't been out to their industrial park in a while, you need to go there and see what they're doing. Small businesses, medium-sized, traded sectors, they're all starting to locate there. Same thing is happening in Molalla, and the same thing is happening in Canby. And we all know that Happy Valley continues to march east, okay? So those are high growth areas where things are really hopping and happening. But let's not forget Wilsonville and the businesses there. Those are the high tech companies. They're all traded sector. They have thousands of jobs that are really beneficial to our county. But let's not forget our rural areas where there's booming industrial parks. And also, just to give you one of the visits I just was able to do, Craig, is Dragonberry Produce in Canby. And they are distributors and exporters and importers of fruits and vegetables, and they are booming. So do not forget our rural agricultural economy as well in this mix.
I'll just add to this really quick. I think we have a culture in Clackamas County that we're open for business, and that we really value what job creators and innovators bring to our communities, and what they contribute is essential so that we can deliver real services. We just had a situation, I don't know if you guys knew, we have a new courthouse, but that created a real problem on Main Street because the old courthouse was vacated. And there was a lot of community input, I mean a lot, which is important about what to do with the old courthouse. And I just want to say that I was so impressed by the way small businesses on Main Street showed up and shared their concerns and helped direct our policy. We had a developer come in and say, hey, I want to take on this difficult project and work with the county. And he was invested in the community. It wasn't some far outside entity. It was a man who loves and cares about Oregon City. He was going to be a creative solution, working with all the small businesses up and down Main Street that relied on the old courthouse for their business. Unfortunately, that might be falling into the river, so that's why we had to build a new courthouse. It's important, right? But Seth is here and his team, they were like, we want to take on this very challenging project. And then we worked with little cafes and little restaurants and little furniture shops and the Oregon City Business Association about how to not only be good partners, but how to have smart local policies that impacts Main Street in our community. And I'm proud of that work. I'm proud of the work that we did to help preserve what was essential and what makes Oregon City, Oregon City. And that's a recent thing we just accomplished.
I want to complete the circle here. Important topic. Obviously, you want to weigh in as well, Commissioner Savas.
Yeah. Some of you know I've been a small business owner most of my life. 5 years in Lane County and 25 years here in Clackamas. Have a lot of relationships with business owners, just like Commissioner Helm has as well. Number one challenge I've had forever in Oregon, not so much elsewhere, but in Oregon especially, whether it's Lane County or it's Clackamas County or Multnomah County, my colleagues, and that is, number one challenge is finding people to show up to work. I was just at a meeting here a week ago, and a very well-established, long-time business owner pays his employees well. He said they ought to have a class on how to get employees just to show up. And it's kind of funny, but it's not. So workforce, and I know Martha's really invested in her workforce. She's been a champion of that. That's a big deal, and I think we need to work hard, and I'm really glad that technical classes are coming back in high schools. I'm a product of that. You know, we had metal shop, wood shop, I mean, all these things that really taught those skills. Robotics, we're seeing male, female students jump into that. It's awesome. I really think that's really offers a lot. And by the way, those trades, they pay really well. Some of this, it's over 6 figures. So there's a lot of prosperity opportunity. And that's why workforce, and I think our kids in our schools need to learn and be exposed to those opportunities.
Commissioner West. Yes, absolutely, for all of them. Well done. And this is something you may all want to weigh in on as well, at least some of you. What do you think Clackamas County will look like in 50 years? Where will the growth happen?
Wow. I think this is all interconnected, but I want to tell a really good story that popped in my head. It's not totally related, but I will get to the question. I got a call from the mayor of Molalla. Now, when I took office in January of 23, Molalla had a serious homelessness issue in the rural area. And the town was really struggling. And it was tense. It was difficult. There was a lot of feelings on all over the spectrum. We had a warming shelter that was in threat of being closed down. We had a lot of angry citizens. So we got to work, we got supportive housing service dollars, we worked with the governor's office and the administration to help use additional funds that used to go into the urban area to bring those funds out to the rural area. We were able to diversify our funding sources. We implemented quickly, you'll hear us say this all the time, a recovery-oriented system of care. I got a call from the mayor the other day. He says, Commissioner, I just want to tell you that it's just been about 2 years and our homelessness problem went from a crisis to functional zero in 2 years. So in 50 years, I hope that the metro area in Clackamas County looks a little bit more like Molalla. That's what I hope. I hope that we don't make it commonplace to step over bodies in our streets. I hope that we have ended the scourge of the fentanyl crisis. I hope that people like my son can afford to buy a home in Oregon and not have to move to another state to do it. I hope that we have become more surgical and thoughtful with our land use policies so industry can have a place to open a business more than 5 acres in Clackamas County. I hope that we're honest and responsible with our natural resources and we use them as sustainably in a way that makes sense and that is practical so that every corner of this state can flourish and prosper. I hope that we are honest about the problems in Oregon and we reflect on who created those problems, and we all get to work together as neighbors to solve those specific problems. I want Oregon to no longer be the last. It's time for Oregon to be remembered as the best, and remember why people risked it all to come here in the founding of our state. We have a lot of work to do, but I do believe Oregon's best days are ahead of them, and in Clackamas County, our best days are ahead of us. But neighbor to neighbor, we got to figure out how to get it done and work together. So that's what I hope happens in 50 years.
Anybody else want to jump in real quick before I move on to the next one? You all good on that? 50 years? Okay. Mr. Savas, this is for you. What is the plan to deal with traffic on small roads like Highway 224, Foster, etc., as building keeps stretching eastward?
Yeah, I kind of alluded to that in my first comments, and really about most communities, or a lot of communities, are bisected by a state facility, and Highway 212 or Highway 213 or you name it, they're state highways, and the state, you all heard what took place this year with the state transportation, ODOT's challenges. The facts, the truth are somewhere in the middle. There is a financial crisis that every government's experiencing. So ODOT's not going to be insulated from that. I might not be the popular person in the room to bash ODOT. I don't really do that. I mean, we have to figure out a way to find what the facts are. And, we're not at state level. But there again, these are state facilities. So where do we get the money in the capital to do these things? And so there's something called an ACT, an Area Commission on Transportation, and Region 1, our area, this 4-county region, Hood River, Washington County, Clackamas, and Multnomah County, were the last ACT to be formed. And so I currently chair that group. We have about 30-some-odd members. The ACTs are now being more engaged with the Oregon Transportation Commission than ever. And on Tuesday, that was the group I was sitting with for a few hours in Salem. They're kind of reorganizing ODOT at the upper level in decision-making. And people ask, how come Highway 212 is in Thunder? How come I-5 or the Boone Bridge is? Who makes that decision? Commissioner, why aren't you making that decision? Well, the fact is we don't make those decisions. And, Senator Meek sitting there in the audience, he's one of 90 people that kind of helped make that decision, right? Plus the Oregon Transportation, plus the governor's office. And the governor's staff did all kind of compute in this. And it turns out that Oregon's not alone in this, how this system works and how things are decided and paid for. But the bottom line is it's going to take money. The cost of a ton of asphalt has tripled. Everything's gone up so significantly. So the cost of building roads, and what do we prioritize? We prioritize safety as a huge issue for all of us. And that's safe streets, that's in communities, that's in highways. We have in wrecks everywhere. It doesn't matter where in Clackamas County, where it's rural or urban. So ODOT is trying to prioritize safety more than ever. And the region, we're all trying to prioritize that. So a lot of priorities, not enough money. And at the end of the day, We know where they are. I want to give a shout out to our staff at DTD. We get a portion. The counties get 30 cents of every tax dollar out there. And our staff, for example, if you know anything about Childs and Stafford Road or the traffic circle there, we're making a huge investment there. We're doing it with our money. It's a county facility. It's not ODOT's facility. We're doing it slightly, we're doing it primarily with our funds. And there's a safety issue. So what brought that project forward was the high rate of incidents and accidents. So we are also adopting a policy where we put our dollars where people's lives are at stake, and our staff are doing a great job delivering those projects. There's just not enough money. If this new package, HB 39 or 2991, does not get overturned, we'll have a few more dollars, about $10 million more annually to put towards some of those needs. But growth is happening everywhere. It's happening in the rural areas. What do I hear for Estacada? The mayor of Estacada, what's the most important project? Sunrise Corridor. It feeds into Highway 224. A lot of us, even though we don't live on the 212 corridor or the Sunrise Corridor, we really believe that's really a big issue for us. We have a lot of business. We have our economic engine, really, the big economic engine is there. We have a lot of metal manufacturers. They need to move their products in and out. Phase 1 was a success. Phase 2 will be a success. And I know Mayor Helm wants to see Phase 3 going out her way. We have a very dangerous traffic intersection, for those of you who know, at 212 and Sunnyside, and where Foster Road all intersect in downtown Damascus. That intersection is absolutely horrible and dangerous. For those of you who know, at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, if you're coming from Gresham and you want to come into Clackamas, you're bumper to bumper as soon as you hit Boring. It's unacceptable. It's bumper to bumper going home or coming to work, in and out of Estacada to Malala. So congestion is a huge issue. We need help. And these are state facilities that we can't do on our own. We need the state's help.
Commissioner West.
One piece of infrastructure I'm really proud about that we worked hard, and it was a big deal when I was on the Wilsonville City Council, was 65th and Ellingson and Stafford right there. That infrastructure, that is a super dangerous intersection, and the city of Wilsonville was a great partner, and just said, hey, we'll pitch in some money too. It involves Washington County, it involves Clackamas County, it involves the city of Wilsonville, 2 different congressional districts. It's kind of a convergence of a lot of things, but very, very dangerous, non-functioning intersection that we've prioritized. And I believe, Dan, please not if I'm wrong or right, but that project is now soon to being underway. It is funded. It's going to be fixed. It's going to be dealt with, and that will be. That's just something I'm really proud of at the local level.
Chair Roberts, question for you. We've got about 6.5 minutes left. Just so you know, what are you doing to ensure all communities are represented and participating on advisory boards and other projects, rural communities, communities of color, youth, and disabled?
Yeah, first of all, that's a great question. And it, once again, kind of comes back to our strategic communication plan of really reaching out to the different communities and making sure that we're there and listening, and identifying the best way that we can do that really is really divide and conquer as a board. This county is far too huge to get around to the entire county and to meet all the diverse populations as a group. And that is where we really have come back to this conversation about town halls, making sure we're doing those so that we're listening, and making sure we're able to address those needs that are being brought forward. So that's, again, I come back to a big communication issue.
Go ahead. Jump in.
Just love to add to that. So we're in a room here. This is one of the rooms here 25 years ago where Complete Communities took place. Here, the Oregon City High School auditorium, that was a great program that got really all the communities in Clackamas County involved and engaged. And, we've suggested, and Martha and I have talked about it, the board's talked about it, what if we did Complete Communities 2.0? And coming out of COVID, a lot of CPOs went dormant. We all want to see that re-energized, and I really think that's the way to kick it off. And it was a great program, and I think if we were to emulate that once more, I think we get to all those communities that Steve talked about.
Commissioner Helm, this one's for you. What is the county doing to make sure that its available land is protected while also supporting economic development?
That's a tough question. That's a big question. there's a fine line. I will say too, let me start out by saying that many of our issues, I think, this is Diana Helm speaking here, with affordability and housing have to do with the price of dirt. And our UGB has hindered us for many, many years in bringing those costs down. Now, we have this mandate from the state to build more homes, build more homes. We have a problem. We don't have people to build homes. That's number one. I'm working with the Home Builders Association and several developers to find out when a home is built, give me the breakdown. How much is the land? How much are the permits? How much are the SDCs? Where are the hurdles in bringing those prices down so people can afford homes, so your kid can afford to live here, right? But we can't keep band-aiding it. It frustrates me that we're building more of these high-rise buildings, and our seniors are near homelessness right now because they can't afford to stay in their homes. There's many different things I think we can do to address the issue, but I think we need to release the pressure valve a little bit, and I believe in a balance between growth and protecting the environment. I'm a firm believer, and when I served on the City Council for Damascus, we had a forester on City Council. God bless him, Andrew Jackman taught me all I needed to know about trees, all right? Love him. I'll tell you what, I used to think they were big weeds, and now when I know a Doug fir captures 65,000 gallons of rain in a year and what it does to protect us and our landscape, they serve a purpose. So we have to be very diligent in how we do this. And I just met with Jerry Herman the other day. We were with Rivers of Life, and we learned how developers are working with the environmentalists to make sure that they understand that trees are an asset. They are an asset. Plants are an asset, and how they can build those into their developments. And I appreciate the education, Jerry, that I got the other day from you. And I think there's a lot of work to do on this, but we need more land for jobs. We need more land for homes. We have to release the pressure valve to lower the prices on the cost of dirt, because they ain't making no more dirt.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Commissioner. We have 2 minutes left. Commissioner Schrader, can you do it? Let's give it a shot. How can Clackamas County increase the supply of affordable housing, provide housing stability for its workforce and vulnerable residents?
Well, that's another tough question, but I also think we're doing a good job here in our county with building. If you take a look of everything that we have built that is under 60% AMI and 30% ANI in this county, you will be astounded. When the SHS dollars came our way for wraparound services, we did that. But when we got the housing dollars, we were really able to rock and roll to do the building and then get the service dollars to make sure people were able to stay in their homes. We have exceeded every metric that we put forward on the amount of housing that we have built in this county for people who otherwise would not have had opportunities and would not have had homes. And I'm going to give Commissioner Savas a shout out for this, because when those dollars were coming in, we were getting a tremendous amount of pressure from our Metro friends. Spend it now, borrow money. We were like, no, we have to see what the cash flow is first. And we did. So as the cash was coming in, as the money was coming in, we were building and we were providing the services, and we were right. We are the most successful in the Tri-County area of the number of houses we have built and the number of people we have housed. And with Ben's work, too, and the rest of our other commission's work that you're working on with the continuum of care, we're just going to keep doing that. And of course, it helped. It helped that we had the oldest 1937 housing authority in Clackamas County. Okay, oldest in the state of Oregon, and we already had public land there. And we densified it. And we densified it with beautiful buildings, with the environmental amenities, and people are moving in now, and all the places. And I wish off the top of my head, but don't ask that. I could give you the name of each one, but it's surely over 10 sites or more that we have pulled together. So we should be proud of that, colleagues. All of us had a hand in that.
Well done. You did it. Thank you, Commissioner. I want to thank all the commissioners tonight and, of course, the staff and everyone who joined us tonight. We appreciate it very much. Let's hear it for them one more time if we can. And thank you for all your terrific questions. Those are very good. As we conclude tonight, we're going to leave you with a short video that really ties together the themes of this evening, a reflection of our shared accomplishments and a vision of what's next for Clackamas County. And again, if you didn't see your questions, your responses, we're going to post them on the county website as well. You'll get an email to let you know when that happens. But thanks for all the great questions you did submit tonight. Video's coming up next. Have a wonderful evening, everybody, and thanks a lot for being a part of this 2025 State of the County. Thank you, folks.
The Clackamas Way is being fiercely independent, effective, and responsive to the needs of our constituents.
And is putting aside our differences with each other, political differences, other differences, but coming together. My vision is to discuss it and build it a community together.
I see a vision of Clackamas County is really, it already is probably one of the top spots to visit in Clackamas County, but I also see it as really being one of the national top spots to visit. And what's so unique about us is we have urban and rural. We have the beautiful Mount Hood, second most climbed mountain in the world. All our cities offer something very unique, and I get very excited about the ability to just continue to enhance Clackamas County as with all of our cities to make it that #1 spot.
Businesses typically want to grow. Businesses want to have the ability to hire good people. We need a good, strong workforce. We have to have a good environment, whether it comes to rents or cost of running a business, not too regulatory, and where businesses are valued.
Let's roll out the red carpet and bring them to Clackamas County. It's beautiful here. There's a reason people move to Oregon, and there's a reason people move to Clackamas County.
My vision for a healthy community really is obviously making sure we have adequate health services, mental health, addiction treatment, wraparound services to help address a number of issues, housing, child care, and really it's all of those things that come together to help us make sure that we're providing a safe and healthy community.
I want people in Clackamas County to know that we're building a culture where community matters, we're not isolated from one another, where we take care of our neighbors, where businesses can thrive, where you can walk through the parks with your friends and family, and that we don't settle for dysfunction or despair in our streets, but we actively work together to build the community that we all want and deserve.
My vision for a good infrastructure is one where we have adequate transportation, we have adequate water, sewer, facilities, sidewalks, the entire system, and people can't come and go, whether it's to work, school, home, play, if we don't have that infrastructure in place. And we can't grow our economy without infrastructure in place.
I always have a saying, sometimes it's your job to take the tomatoes, and I take that to heart because you know what? If you're uncomfortable hearing it, good, it means you're supposed to be hearing it and you're supposed to act on it, and it's something that you need to take into account in order to build that trust.
We want to make sure that people feel like that in Clackamas County that they get the supports that they need and that we take care of each other and they're a community that wraps our arms around one another. And I think that starts with good local government.
I'm really proud of the work that we're doing, and if you look at our board priorities, they are really focused on all those needs and all those challenges. And you ought to be proud that we're doing that great work. And I think we'll all be prosperous and we'll work together to achieve that. So I want to just thank all the Clackamas County citizens for having the trust in us to do that work.
If I have to paint a picture of Clackamas County, what it'll look like in the future, I see vibrant economy, beautiful parks, places for people to play,
and have a place where people can live and thrive.
My philosophy has always been, working together, we really can make a difference. And I still believe that, and I'm very excited for the future of this county. I've met just incredible leaders in each and every one of the cities, and I know that together we can continue to make Clackamas County the best place in Oregon.